here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Hello and welcome to the Mushie Moment with myself and my awesome co-host, Reverend Cindy. We're live today on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, coming to you live on paceradio.net, CBG TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Boxcast, Roku, and Fire Stick. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
What's my new name? Fun guy
Steve.
Fun
guy
420's coming. I better be the fun guy, Steve.
420's coming, and I'm going to be up there with you for 420. I'm so excited.
On the wet coast.
On the wet coast, Vancouver. It's going to be an amazing time. I mean, starting right from 5 p.m. on the 19th and going till the wee hours of the morning on the 21st.
Yes, and on the 20th, you can find us at the 420 event at Thornton Park. Hopefully booth 85. I haven't had it confirmed, but that's the one I'm trying for. Booth 85 will be the at ease booth. Come on down and make yourself at ease. Quick plug.
Yes. And just because I haven't had the 5 seconds to share it with you, my puppy is back from the vet and she's on antibiotics. She should be fine.
Oh, nice. Good. Right on. Hey, that's a worry out of the way while we dance into the podcast.
Absolutely. And today's podcast is somebody that I have learned about through Steve, and Steve has been very excitedly telling me about this gentleman for a little bit now. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit and introduce him?
Okay. Well, I met this gentleman through a young lady that was suffering from encephalitis, and her father and her reached out to me, and they were in the U.S., so there was only so much I could do to help them. They were interested in utilizing the psilocybin microdosing, etc. And the young lady graciously introduced me to this next fellow, and he's got a pretty good practice going on. He's helping a lot of people. I've referred a lot of people in the U.S. over to him that we can't help up here in Canada. And he's ass kicking in the healing world. His name is James Hinn. He is the Grateful Shaman. And please welcome him to the show.
Hi, James.
Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I have been hearing about you from Steve pretty much since we have become friends, which has been a while now. And then recently through our friend and now Cambo provider, Ashley out of Ontario. She has talked very highly about you as well. So it's really amazing to meet you. I feel like I've already kind of met you just, hearing about you because everybody talks so highly.
And I thought that was a weird synchronicity that I'm out there doing Campbell with Ashley. And it's like, oh, you're on her podcast. How do you know that connection? So that was pretty awesome, that big circle coming around. The healing circle is just amazing. It's amazing what the universe brings into play.
Right. Yeah. It's great to meet you both and or to sit here with you both. And it was pretty amazing when Ashley texted me and told me we have a friend in common. And I had to pull up my map to see where you guys were in Canada. But I was like, oh, wow, that is really a synchronicity, across the country. And it shows the importance and the power of this movement, where we're all, and really the power of this grassroots movement, where we're all trying to, collaborate and help each other move this forward.
Absolutely. James, My first question for almost everybody that walks onto our show, and depends on really who starts talking first to who asks this question, because it's one that we both think of. And what led you to do what you do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you. I think if I could summarize it, it was a lot of pain and struggle that led me to do what I do, right? And like Terrence McKenna talks about it in his book Food of the Gods, like this where like I suffered and struggled and found a way to heal myself, like through these practices and medicines, and then realized like, oh, I think I was literally told in a mushroom experience, like, this is what you do now. Like, you have to go spread this around to the world and help people. And so from being being raised Roman Catholic, then into being atheist, like militant Richard Dawkins atheist, to opening my mind to shamanism and then the world of plant and fungi medicines, and really just opened my whole world into ways I could never even have imagined, and found a way to heal through it. And now I'm trying to replicate that for others.
Now, when you discovered it, whereabouts in your journey of pain and suffering to where you are now, where were you in your journey when you actually were introduced to whatever it was that started you here?
Yeah, so I was in undergrad doing a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was a researcher, scientist. Like that was my how I identified myself. And I was in a medical anthropology class, and there were it was the day where we had guest speakers coming in, and there was a curandera from Peru, and came in and taught us about their belief system and how they deal with how the root of sickness is spiritual, and like it was contrary to this Western approach. And so it piqued my interest, but I was kind of honestly like a little dismissive of it at that time, because I was like, oh, it's not science, Western medical science. And then this woman walks in and looks, blonde hair, high heels, like dressed up, walks in and goes, hey, I'm Christina and I'm a shaman. And it totally like flipped my world upside down, because she started talking about how she's been a shaman in many lifetimes, and her the reason that she became a shaman in this lifetime was because that she became an astrophysicist first. And so I was like blown away by like, all right, we have astrophysicists on this side and then shaman on this side. I didn't realize how closely those worlds were. And she started to explain it, and it really was exactly what I needed to hear to convince me that there was something outside of my kind of tunnel vision atheist mind. And so that was way back in undergrad, and it kind of planted the seed, and I started to explore here and there, but I really continued to focus on academia. And when I went and got a master's, went over to London and kind of started to explore other cultures. And when I got back, I ended up in this leadership development conference, and I walked into the conference, and on the schedule was a class called Shamanism and Leadership. And Jose Luis Stevens was there. He's an author. Transformative Dragons, Encounters with Power is a really good one. And he started talking about his experiences with shamans around the world. And I had been a drug addict when I was young, so 16 to 19, I was a heroin addict. And when I got out of that, I went sober, I got into AA, and I had stopped using drugs, but I didn't heal anything. I just stopped, and I started, working this program, staying sober. But I never went deeper than, or as deep as I should have. And so I struggled with my mental health for years, and through grad school and through raising a family. And finally, this shamanism was reintroduced in my life a few years later, and boom, I was like, all right, this means something. Let me look into it. So I bought his book and I started reading, and I took some courses at the Foundations of Shamanic Studies, and I started practicing shamanism and doing spirit animal retrievals. That quickly turned into me, working with others. And then one day I was reading this article and it said 11 signs you might be a shaman. And every line I read hit more and more at home. And I got to a point called shaman sickness. Have you heard of shaman sickness?
No.
So shaman sickness is this idea of if you have a shamanic calling, and you're not using it, you will have struggles mentally, physically, emotionally, and it makes sense because all my life I had this, like, I would be around people and I could feel them so strongly, and I thought that was just kind of the way it was. But what I realized was that was actually like kind of like a gift that I have to be able to feel what people are feeling, and in that way. And so when I started to work on that, like honing that skill right, so we have this conversation around like indigenous shamanism. The word shaman, it's a very charged word here in the US especially, but really what I was born into a culture that viewed shamanism as black magic, and so I was never taught what to do with it, and so I had to learn on my own, and it took a lot of pain and suffering. And so when I started practicing shamanism, and I'm willing to try anything. So I bought this drum right here, and I started drumming and journeying, and all of a sudden I started getting healthier, and I started meditating, and like the chronic pain I had was going away, and I healed this like digestive issues that I had, and all of a sudden I started healing and healing and healing, and I found myself at an ayahuasca ceremony and I drank ayahuasca with a great group out of Arizona, and it completely opened up my world. And I was introduced to psilocybin, and accidentally took psilocybin with a friend, and it turned into a healing session where he was going through deep trauma. It was presenting as physical pain. He was like, we almost were considering taking him to the hospital because we were both inexperienced at the time. And what happened was I experienced channeling for the first time. And so he was going through this back pain. Something overcame me. I stood up, and I had this sound bowl that I had just purchased that morning, first ever sound bowl, and I started chanting into it. And they were like these deep, like Om chants and like other things that I was saying that I don't even recognize the language. It was just coming out. And he was like, "What are you saying? Like, how do you know this?" I'm like, "I have no idea. But it's working, right? So keep doing it." And at one point, boom, his pain released, and he lay down, and like it passed. And I like came to, right? And I was like, whoa, like what was that? And I went and laid down, and we were kind of in this come down phase of just processing. And I had the sound bowl in my hand, and I was just playing it, and I would hit it. And every time I would hit it, we would both see the ripples of the sound waves in the air. It was beautiful. And I hit it one time, and it disappeared. And when it disappeared, I wasn't like I was just like, what? I never experienced anything like that. And this is very new in my psychedelic journey. And all of a sudden I saw it really far away, like thousands of years away, it felt like. And it came back and landed in my hand. And I got this message that said that, the sound healing, this sound bowl has been with you for lifetimes. And like, this is what you need to do now, and like help people with what happened tonight. And so from there, I was working as an executive at an accounting firm. And from there, I eventually, I started focusing on healing work, and eventually quit my job and started doing it. And so that's kind of how I've been today. Now, fast forward to today, I've led a few hundred people through psychedelic journeys, mostly with psilocybin. I'm also a Bufo practitioner, the 5-MeO toad medicine. But psilocybin, I think, is the best fit for most people. And so that's what we're really focused on here with Psilo Temple.
Why do you feel that psilocybin is the best fit for most people?
So I think psilocybin, out of all the psychedelics, right? And we believe, so Psilo stands for psychedelics, integration, love, and oneness. And I purposely made the acronym say psychedelics instead of psilocybin because we believe in all the medicines, right? It's all rooted in shamanic practice. But out of all of those medicines, psilocybin tends to be the most gentle and like loving out of to me, and where it's the most available, right? My son, if I gave my son Terrence McKenna and Dennis McKenna's psilocybin book that they wrote in the 80s, I bet he could grow a pound of mushrooms by next month, right? It's very easy to grow psilocybin. And he's 8 years old, right? So that's what they said. They were like, any 10-year-old with basic science knowledge can grow mushrooms. And so I think the availability of them and the way that they work with you at a microdose level, at a moderate dose level, and at a heroic or above dose level is really powerful and profound. And there's no interactions with medications. Like when we have people with SSRIs, like there's serotonin syndrome is not a risk. It's actually, you need more mushrooms because the pharmaceuticals like deaden your serotonin receptors, burn them out, and so you won't be able to trip unless you take more. But it's incredibly safe, and I find that it's the most primal. It's the one that returns us to our being more than anything else. And so I think all of those factors combined, it's ayahuasca is a beautiful medicine, but you can't grow ayahuasca in your closet.
That is true.
Wow. There's a bit to digest there. That's awesome. That was a lot of good info. And I'm hoping that the viewers watch it a couple of times to process a lot of what's there.
I'm sure. Yeah. Replays are a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now where you are, what have you got going?
Yes. So about in July 2021, I founded Grateful Shaman Company, and what we were an LLC, and I moved to Oregon from California, and with Oregon, the state of Oregon passed what they called Measure 109. It's and Measure 110. Measure 110 is a wide-scale decriminalization measure where it decriminalized all drugs, so including heroin and fentanyl and meth and all the psychedelics and entheogens. And then along with it was Measure 109. Measure 109 was the legalization of psilocybin for medicinal use. And I was happy, like, yeah, we need this. Yes, get more people need more mushrooms. Like that's always my motto, more mushrooms. And so when I got up here, I started looking into the process of doing Measure 109. And I very quickly, after sitting through a meeting or two, I very quickly realized that, all right, here we are. This is a Western medical profit-driven like money grab. And it's written all over it. And there's a great nonprofit in town called Edelic that's been saying it for years. And I was talking to people around town, and it became really clear that this measure was, more along the lines of, increasing, lining pockets and increasing, and creating restricted access. And I just
didn't. They did with cannabis up here.
Yeah, right. And that's where I was looking at the cannabis, what they did to the cannabis industry, and was again like just create this, profit machine. And my gut was telling me like, all right, this is not right, but all right, let's just wait and see. Like they'll figure it out, right? We got an advisory board of 17 people. They'll figure it out. And so as time went on, I just decided to start openly operating. And so I started doing group ceremony, and I started holding integration meetings. So we just had one last night. It was like the 90th meeting we've had in Eugene, where we support each other in integration practices. So last night someone had a really hard experience, and we were all talking about it and giving advice and sharing stories, and it's a space for us to share and support each other and learn. And so I started doing those, and then we started doing one-on-one work, and that really became really popular. And we took hundreds of people through journeys between ceremonies and one-on-ones. And when we got to this year, 2023 was when Measure 109 was going live. I was at a crossroads of, okay, do I become a service center, which is where individuals can come and receive psilocybin therapy, or do we go a different route, or the religious route where, and so I looked at this Measure 109 path, or the service center path. Right off the bat, it's $10,000 to apply. So for a license for a service center, and that all goes to the government. And then I started looking at the projections, and so it's projected that someone here in Eugene, a therapist, has been documenting it, said that it's going to cost $3,000 to break even. And that's with paying a facilitator, which they're calling them, psychedelic guide or ceremonial leader, their facilitator, $25 an hour to do this work. And so where is that $3,000 going? Like, okay, some of it's going to the facilitator, and then the rest is going to fees and liability and all that stuff. So I realized that it's going to be so cost prohibitive. So my question always is, 60% of this county that we live in here voted yes on Measure 109 for psilocybin services. Can 60% of this county afford $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for one psilocybin session? No way. And the other thing is, one psilocybin session is not the answer to your problems. Building a relationship with psilocybin is the answer. And so when I looked around and I saw other examples, Arizona Yahe Assembly and Sanctuary and Divine Assembly, Zydor, all these churches or religious organizations that were operating, I really felt that was the way that we should take it. And so we created a religious organization called Silo Temple. We're a nonprofit religious organization, and we are focused on the freedom of religion and the free exercise of our religious practices, just like James Madison wrote it in the Constitution way back then. And so what our approach is to provide opportunities for individuals to build a relationship with the medicine. So if you have no money, or if you're rich, you can have access to the medicine. And so we have temple service twice a month where you come and we take a small dose of the medicine, and we do meditation, and then have a quote unquote sermon. And then like tomorrow, this Wednesday night, tomorrow night, we're going to finish, we're going to have an hour and a half sound bath where me and my friend Yayeta Love, she'll sing and I'll play sound bowls. We'll feature local artists. We're working with the local police department to come in and talk about fentanyl and how to like be aware of, fentanyl in your substances, because fentanyl is showing up in all kinds of substances. I've heard of it being in LSD recently, which just is baffling to me, but not really. And so wanted to create a model to where you could show up and build community around the medicines, and not only just psilocybin. We're not just taking mushrooms and going about our day. It's using these medicines as sacrament and with reverence, and then using the other ancient practices and principles like meditation, yoga, breath work, journaling, gratitude, things like that, or exercise, nature, to integrate your experiences and to create a whole, like, remember who you are and be a whole healthy person.
Right on.
That's amazing.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm liking what you're doing. The Church Avenue, like I've noticed that's kind of, I don't know if it's really happening much up here in Canada, of starting them. I know there's the Church of First Nations have got some stuff going. There's what was the other one that the Silo?
But that's based in the United States.
It's based out of the U.S. as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how they're getting around the DEA laws for making things happen. We have to look into up here in Canada and see how that's working.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Canada, but in the U.S., in the Constitution, it was, freedom of religion is a major part of the First Amendment rights. And so there was also in 1993, it was expanded to include, there's a Religious Freedoms and Restorations Act of 1993, which is led by the Native American Church, that it now includes the use of psychedelics in your spiritual practice as part of religious freedom. And so while that is our right, there's still, it's the American government. So, and there's this attitude of, okay, yes, you can have religious freedom if you're using psychedelics, but you can't do this, or you can't do this, or you have to do that, and which is again not religious freedom. Like it's religious freedom, but that's something that I don't accept. And we've been really working with the North American Association of Visionary Churches. There's a bunch of us that have visionary churches that are trying to bring back the humanness of using these medicines in ceremony and in community with each other and as a spiritual practice. And I think overall, the problems that the law enforcement or politicians or big pharma has with the religious freedom is if it's affecting their finances in some way, or if they can make money off it in some way. And so I think, like, if you're providing these services to people, it's taking away from, for example, the Oregon's profit-driven model. And so I think that's where some of the problems come in. But in terms of religious freedom, like, we operate we're very structured. There's a 14-point check that the IRS does to establish yourself as a religious organization. We check all those boxes, and are continually working on establishing ourselves as a credible religious organization, just as any other religious organization, Catholic, Christians, Mormons, like every other religious organization is given freedom to operate as they choose. And so we believe that we should as well.
I find it ironic that you went through being, staunch atheist to creating your own church.
I know.
That's kind of ironic, but that's
yes.
a lot of healing is breaking down the barriers you've set for yourself and breaking the labels that you've created or taking on and freeing yourself to be all you can be. So I find that kind of interesting. We're just kind of coming up. It's at the 27-minute mark here, so we might as well go into the break right here. Cindy, I think, had to run off and deal with her dog there for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll run us into the break on here. We got to, do the sponsorship thing. So let me do the routine. Hi, it's break time. Time to check out our sponsors and pay some bills. You're here with us live on Mushie Moment on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Boxcast, CBG TV, and paceradio.net. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back to the Mushie Moment, streaming live to you here at paceradio.net, CBG TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Boxcast, and on Roku and Fire Stick. Please welcome back Cindy and James.
I'm back.
Okay, so my partner and I, John, in the At Ease organization, help people up here. And we were in a documentary called Psychedelic Frontier, and we get quite a few people from the States reaching out to us on how we can help them. So I usually set them up with the ability to get some of the things like the lion's mane and the reishi and whatnot, some mixes, some of the adaptogens, etc. But what most of them are looking for is to find the access to somebody that can help them and guide them with the psilocybin. A lot of them, most of it's PTSD and trauma. So I've been referring them to you. I don't know if they've all been getting through, but I'm going to be sending more this way because we constantly get people reaching out to us. So if I was somebody that I referred to you and I just called you and said, "Hi, James, I was referred to talk to you about getting help for my PTSD," where do you go from there?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm really glad for the work you're doing up there. And so if you want help from PTSD, we have at Silo Temple, we have created the ability and to access the medicine, right? And that means that for someone with PTSD, I would first say, all right, your ideal move, like nothing else matters, magic wand solution, I would say come to a ceremony or a private one-on-one experience. So ceremony meaning group ceremony where we honor like shamanic tradition. We open up the space. We use other plant medicines like sananga, or tobacco, hape, and create a healing environment where overnight ceremony where we'll play sound bowls and sound bath all evening, different music from different cultures, and help you set you up with the perfect set and setting to have a deep, meaningful journey in a safe and comfortable way. So what that entails, and then for the one-on-one experience is just, it's a more private experience. It's a more, for those individuals who want to pursue that avenue. But it's not just show up for ceremony and go home. It's a whole process. It's called the transformative healing journey. And the transformative healing journey includes integration support and preparation support. So we hear a lot in this space about integrate or about intention setting, right? And I found that sometimes we can get, especially with the way our culture is, sometimes we can get a little hung up on that. And so the process of preparation is, yes, setting intention for what you want to do, but more so just ensuring this intentional and use and reverence of this setting. And so what it includes is a 1 hour preparation call. Usually it goes an hour and a half with me, and where we'll talk about your history, your past traumas, anything that come up, like what is the thing that you're trying to solve? What is the thing that you're trying to overcome? PTSD, addiction, depression, anxiety, or to find a spiritual connection, get a greater sense of God, get a greater sense of self-love, because it all starts with self-love, a lot of these other things. And so will spend the time with you to prepare you mentally for your experience. So you go into it with not expectations, but more so into it with a general understanding of how you're going to deal with the experience. Because when you take a high dose, we do high doses of psilocybin mushrooms in these experiences, it can be pretty hard at times. People say, like, what is it like? Well, some people laugh, some people cry, some people scream, some people throw up, some people lay in a ball the whole time, some people laugh the whole time. Most people, it's a little bit of all of that, right? And it really ebbs and flows. And we're there with you as it ebbs and flows, and playing music and using sound healing to clear blockages. One of the main issues of doing, I'm a huge proponent of doing psilocybin on your own. I think Terence McKenna's 5 Dry Grams, Silent Darkness is a like
life changer.
Yeah, it's essential.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah,
healing, right? But when you have trauma, PTSD, having someone that's professionally and qualified and experienced in those experiences can really help you move through that trauma. Yeah. A lot of times it comes up in those experiences when we're alone or with someone that's not experienced. We resist and we trap in and we get stuck, and we sit in these loops of just like not knowing how to get out of it. Well, when we're there, we can see that happening, and we help you get through it with music or sound or touch or Reiki type healing, or talking with you. But really, we let the medicine do the work. And so we're preparing you for a few tenets of what we believe. You always get what you need. If your set and setting is right, you always get what you need, and you're right where you need to be. So just let the mushrooms give you what it's giving you. Because when we come in with a preconceived expectation or intention, many times we don't know what we need. Like, you don't know what you don't know is one of my favorite sayings. And so to go in saying, I need to do this, that can really limit our experience, because if we go in and saying, okay, I'm willing to accept everything that the medicine is going to give me, we open ourselves up to so much more opportunity. So that we'll have that deep experience. And then afterwards, we'll have a one-on-one private coaching session with me for integration support. And so that's how, okay, now that you had this experience, what are you going to change in your life? Because it's not just have this experience and then boom, everything's better. It's have this experience, and yes, everything will get better if we meditate, take care of our bodies, take care of our minds, take care of our souls. And so really the integration process is really, I think, what was missing in my early experiences that I really emphasize now with clients and members of the temple. And then there's additional integration support. So you can contract me or other integration coaches for more sessions, and we give you a discounted rate as a member. But also we've created a weekly integration meeting. We have an online psychedelics and sobriety meeting that meets every week. We have online integration meeting coming. We have weekly services, etc., to get integration support. And so with that, if you become a member of, and so that's how your healing journey would play out in an ideal setting, if you have the means to be able to make that happen and travel out here, etc. For people looking to build their own relationship with psilocybin, that's our thing, right? To cultivate spiritual growth, personal transformation, and community by providing education and a compassionate environment and access to individuals to experience the transformative power of psychedelic medicines and shamanic practices, right? That's our mission statement. And so as a member, we will educate you. So you'll sign on as a member, and we'll educate you in this training on psilocybin, how it works, the history, religious freedom, side effects, set and setting, dosing, like educating you to be your own advocate, to be your own self-healer. And when you are educated and trained in that, then you have access to microdosing or being able to provide sacrament to yourself.
Okay, now when you say group setting, how big is your groups?
Generally, we cap it at 10. I think I like to keep them as intimate as possible in terms of the heroic dose type journeys. You could also put the psilotemple.org is where we've transitioned from Grateful Shaman Company. I see it flying past me there.
Yes, psilotemple.org.
Psilotemple.org, yeah.
Okay,
And Yeah, no problem. Sorry, we shifted from Grateful Shaman Company to Silo Temple, but yeah. So, but those experiences for those who want to go deeper and have a therapeutic experience. For individuals who want to continue to build a relationship with psilocybin, we have our weekly or our bi-weekly temple services where we take a smaller dose of either some tincture or chocolates, and you can gain a relationship with psilocybin in that way as well.
Nice. So do you have a specific strain that you work with, or does that vary per person?
Yeah, so strain is definitely important. Some are much stronger than others, and some act in different ways. And so what we do for ceremony is we use a blend, a blend of different types of psilocybin cubens.
Okay.
So, for example, the penis MB strain made famous by Terence McKenna is highly potent, right? We can look at the potency levels compared to another popular golden teacher strain, which is kind of down here in the potency level. But the golden teachers they're true to their name. They're very like shamanic and like, you know, they teach you a lot. And so we will blend those types together to really lessen the intensity of some of the too intense aspects of the penis envy, but bring in the potency of the others. So yeah, we mix with different strains. Where we source we source from intentional people who are aligned with what we believe. Right? It's not we're not buying from cartels or like any like people, you know, growing mushrooms for profits and things like that. Like, are people growing place sound bowls to their mushrooms and, you know, like live with them, and really it's just so important. They're, you know, mostly water, right? And so just like us, and so the sound bowls really make a major, and the energy that you put into it really comes out into your experience as well. And so it's really important to know where you're sourcing your medicine from.
Wow. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm wowing at the fact that you're mixing them. You're the first person that I've talked to that, you know, has said that. Not that I've talked to like a lot of people, but it's just something new that's come across for me.
Yeah, and we I plan to start doing some, like I've had some lab tests on a lot of the strains that we use. And some of them contain much more psilocybin and psilocin per gram than others. But really, this is if in Oregon here, they restricted psilocybin to only cubensis and only to lab tested, specific measured. And mushrooms just don't work that way. Mushrooms are very intuitive. They work very much on a feel intuitive basis. And so that when we're working with these different strains, it's really that like intuitive process of like, all right, how much of this experience, like this energy and this love and whatever comes from this mushroom, and how much of this, and really merging it together makes a beautiful experience.
Wow. I'm just trying to find your Silo Temple here.
Oh yeah, sorry. You want me to email?
Silotemple.com?
Silo, yeah. It's pronounced PSILO temple.org.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
There's a .com also, but yeah, .org is where you can sign up for membership, learn about me and what we're doing and our services, and it has our events calendar on there.
Okay, well, I'm going to just put that in here like that.
There you go.
So that people can at least see it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was branching off to try and make that happen for you, because I want. I'm going to refer a lot of. John and I get a lot of Americans reaching out because I guess the documentary plays a fair amount down there.
Oh right, yeah.
Due to the fact that up here we can't really ship anything down that way.
Yeah, right, and that's what a lot of the ayahuasca groups deal with here, like getting their sacraments seized by Homeland Security or Customs or whatever. And there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work to make sure that doesn't continue to happen.
Yeah, well, this is great because we get so many people reaching out and we can't help them. And honestly, it's, that's why we're here. We're here to help people. And we're all PTSD people or CPTSD, and the struggle is real and healing is real. So we're trying to show people where they can find the healing. And this is great that we can refer people over, having the video is great because now it doesn't mean I got to do a lot of this.
Yeah. Yeah. PTSD. I mean, like, and going back to what we said earlier about mushrooms being a fit for most people, I was just talking to my friend last night, and it's really like when you engage with psilocybin into your life intentionally and in the ceremonial setting, and then work with micro dosing it, which taking it on a regular basis with reverence and meditation, right? We know it's increasing neuroplasticity. We know it's helping build new neural pathways, and that's what's important with PTSD. So when we take mushrooms in this setting, we start to experience these or look at these things, these traumas, in different ways, and we build new neural pathways to the trauma, right? And so the loud noise, boom, causes me to trigger. Well, okay, in the psilocybin experience, we see that loud noise differently, and that loud noise then no longer triggers a trauma response. And so we're not treating it or curing it. We're rewiring the trauma. We're rewiring your brain to like, all right, let's shut down this pathway that brings anxiety. Let's create a new one that is self-love. And now we have a new relationship with the trauma. And I think that's the beauty of how this medicine works. It doesn't numb you. It doesn't shut you down like a lot of the pharmaceuticals do. It doesn't give you this false sense. It really puts it in front of you and goes, hey, deal with this. Learn how to deal with this. Okay, now you're trained and you're good. Like, why are the Navy SEALs some of the most badass people on the planet? Well, look at their training. It's the most badass training on the planet, right? And so, like, we have to do the work. The medicine doesn't do it for us, but it puts us in the position to be able to do the work, to make those changes, and then those changes are sustained, and we don't need to rely on taking a pill every day or masking trauma or treating. We can heal it and move forward. And once we heal those things, when we move forward, our life opens up so much more because we're not held back by that anymore. And it's so beautiful to watch, and especially our military veterans. We have, we always give, discounted rates for military veterans. In the future, once we're financially secure enough, we'll have much more like offerings to support the unhoused. And I heard last night, I think like 60% of the unhoused in Eugene are veterans, and military veterans, and that's just like hits me so hard.
What a failing on our society, eh? Just leaving people out there that went and served the country and just abandoning them, basically. Like,
right.
I just look at the amount of street people that we have out there, and I just look at it as a failing on humanity. In the addictions areas down here, I've traveled them quite a bit here.
Extensively,
and what you find is there's a whole lot of mental health and trauma issues dancing through there. And if we could if we could work on the supply mental health and trauma healing aspects, we would have so much less of the people living in the streets. It's a sad failing on our society.
Right. I work with this church called Alluvium here in Eugene, Alluvium. They do a lot of work with the unhoused, and Eli, who's the steward of and the founder, works with the populations extensively. And I was talking to him last night, and I was like, hey, I'll do free ceremonies for the unhoused all day. But the problem is, like, we can't just put them in ceremony, have them deal with their traumas, and then say, all right, back to the street.
Send you back out. No,
you need that support structure. I think that's a really great example of how these medicines work. You don't just take it and everything's better. You take it and then you do the work and have the infrastructure in your life to make it better. So if we can get some investment into like supporting the infrastructure outside of that, we can really make a huge impact that community. But again, like, that community gets brushed aside because it's not feeding the profit machine of the political profit machine.
And it reminds people to work harder or they might end up there.
Right.
That was a little bit of facetiousness.
Just a little.
Wow. Well, this is exciting. I'm going to do a little more investigation into the Silo Temple thing as well, myself, and see what you've got rocking in there. That's a whole new avenue that I haven't been, looking at in your world yet. So,
yeah, and I think it's like,
I creep you every now and then, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's the same operation. It's just we've established as a religious organization, because, like I said, originally I thought we might open like a retreat center and bring people in, but really I think the need and this medicine is our birthright, and we need to have community versus having people coming in and being customers of it.
A question I got, because your pathway kind of came through addiction, and you help people through addiction. What type of a success rate are you finding you're having for long-term recovery on people in addictions utilizing the mushrooms?
Yeah, I was just talking about this last night too. So I regularly pick people up at detox and bring them to a mushroom session. And those people that I've worked with, almost all of them are still sober. And one, I'm saying almost because I haven't followed up with some in a little while. But what I've found is that we go back to AA, right? 10 million members in 12-step program around the world. We follow Bill Wilson's template to a T. Help other alcoholics, work the steps, go to meetings, prayer, meditation. Well, we fail on that one a lot, but as Bill stated, and 20 years later. But what we neglect to realize is he had every hour for 50 hours before his white light spiritual experience that made him realize the presence of God and stay sober till his death. He was given belladonna and henbane, which are hallucinogenic, have hallucinogenic properties, and sparked this white light experience. And so my question is, why only Bill? Like, why is Bill the only one? Why is AA's success rate so low? What if AA is a beautiful program. The steps, like the 12 steps, everybody could benefit from working those, whether you're an addict or not. But it's all about, looking internally, clearing yourself, taking self-inventory, having a connection with the spirit. It's beautiful. What's missing is that in spiritual experience at the beginning. So with addiction, my belief is, and I eventually want to open up a treatment program is in our strategy plan, is if we can get individuals from the beginning to use these medicines and deal with the trauma that they're treating with the addictive medicines, then they can heal from addiction. They don't have to be a victim of it.
I'm right? With you, brother.
And so I think, I've had incredible, like, I don't know, probably 90%, of people that I've had that have had alcohol or addiction problems, smoking even, overeating, have found ways through it. And the common denominator is like doing the self-work and having self-love to not have to avoid emotions anymore. Because fentanyl is the number one cause of death between 18 and 45 in this country. It's not because fentanyl is really good and fun. It's because fentanyl shuts down pain.
In the original release, they said it shut down all pain, physical, mental, and spiritual.
Right.
And even included spiritual in it.
Right. The mental and spiritual pain is what it's showing. And that's why the deaths are so high. It's because we can't, look at what we just went through in these past few years as a global society. Like, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety, and fentanyl is a really good way to shut it down. but it's also a good way to shut your body and brain down. So, yeah, I think.
Yeah, we're at the epicenter here on the downtown east side. We're in the fentanyl epicenter.
Oh yeah, there you are.
And what's funny here is they decriminalize fentanyl, meth, and cocaine, but the mushrooms weren't on there. Although we've got a bunch of dispensaries opening up and making things happen.
As well as ayahuasca still illegal, and iboga still illegal, and peyote still illegal, and all of these wonderful things that'll help them are still illegal.
But dude, you can go downtown and go get some fentanyl or meth or
and you can get some free hard drugs downtown Vancouver too. You don't even have to pay for them.
And it's easier to get fentanyl than it is to get Narcan, which is like the treatment for overdose. Right? I purchased Narcan the other day and I gave it to my wife. I was like, "You got to keep."
Up here, the Narcan they're giving it out like Smarties.
Oh, yes,
I say thank God. I've got my I have twin daughters that are fentanyl addicts. Right. One of them's actually 2.5 months into recovery now, which is absolutely awesome. The other one's in a 6-year relapse.
Yeah,
and you know, we're talking hardcore fentanyl. It's a brutal thing to see every now and then, and I would say probably at least a third of the people that I've met through them and their addictions have passed away already from overdosing.
Oh yeah.
One thing I do want to say about Narcan, because a lot of people don't know this. A lot of times when people overdose on fentanyl with benzos, they'll just Narcan them, 5 or 6, 7 times, and then they stop and the person dies. But one of my daughters got hit with carfentanil and she overdosed, and the other daughter was there. We're a bit of a crazy family, so there was 30 hits of Narcan available, and the one just kept hitting the other, not letting her sister die. But she brought her back. It took 34 hits of Narcan to bring her back. The ambulance showed up and had the other 4. But had she have stopped at 7 or 8 like they normally do, her sister would be dead. But what we did learn is if you keep Narcanning, even if it's carfentanil with benzos, you got a good chance of pulling them out. As long as you just keep hitting them, you can pull them out of the opioid, and then the benzos will do their thing. And then, you got to wait because they can drift back into overdose again. But if you got Narcan, keep hitting them. Don't let them die. And always carry Narcan.
It is sadly the end of the show.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me do this again.
I was going to say, before you get into that,
right,
I'm supposed to have you back. What's that? Yeah.
Did we get him to say a little thing about his stuff?
We should, yes. Yeah.
Okay, you take over because I suck at this.
So yeah, you can see it down there, psilotemple.org. We have membership options. Basically, we'll come in as a member. If you're financially limited, we have ways to work with you. But basically, come support us. We'll support you. We'll teach you how to build a relationship with psilocybin and enable you to be able to exercise your religious freedom and heal the things that you're trying to heal in your life instead of treat. And I think that's a major distinction between the two, the first model we have versus now. And so if you want more information on that, psilotemple.org. You find us on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other beautiful channels. We also do a lot of sound healing and things like that. And so come check us out. And I'm always available. My contact information is on there via text or call or message. And super grateful to you guys and Ashley with Elemental Growth Network for connecting us.
Yes. Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Okay, should I read that thing quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's that time again. Thank you for joining us here on the Mushie Moment with my co-host Cindy, myself, and our awesome guest James Hinn from the psilotemple.org. We are proud to be coming to you live from paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Boxcast, Roku, and Firestick. See you next week with more exciting guests and healing information. Much love.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.